Good morning, everyone. It's Monday. Don't know yet exactly who I'm going to have all today. My grandson came down early this morning. Is my cousin coming today? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. Haven't heard. Anyway, my grandson was part of a baseball tournament this weekend. And he's been talking about that for 2 weeks now. Ever since it was known that he will be in with his team in that tournament. And it's a championship. And they get a ring. Yeah. And he was so excited. He said, Crosby, I gotta get that ring. I said, you and your team gotta get that ring, huh? Of course, they would each get one. And he says, yeah, girls, I gotta get that ring. I said, well, then we better practice here at home, too. And of course, they do almost every day, right? Anywho, so Saturday was the first day, and they went. And before they all left, he shouted back to me, hey, Crosby, pray for my team. And I said, you got it. Yeah. And came home that evening, and they did very well. They won all their games. And then Sunday was another day. I stayed home recuperating. And then last night I waited for him to come down and show me his ring. And I thought, whoops, I guess he didn't get it. I guess they didn't win. So eventually I went upstairs, but gosh, it was already 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So I went upstairs and I said, I've been waiting downstairs for a little one to come and show me his ring. So did it not happen? He jumps up, he says, Crosby, I came down to show you, but you were asleep. I did not even hear them come home. I slept good. I really rested. And I tried to keep that cough of mine in check, and yeah, it worked out great. So I was asleep when they came home. I didn't realize, okay. And he came and showed me. It's a big old thing. They won. Yes, they won. His team won the championship tournament. He's so happy. Amazing. Yeah. He's so happy. Yeah. Yes. And I have no doubt that his whole team, himself included, worked really, really hard on that baseball field to get that. Yes? Yeah. Anywho. Just wonderful. Yeah. So, let's get going here. We're all going to be basking in that, yes? Glory of his with his team, yeah, for some time. That's so great. All right, we are in the book of Esther 9. We only have 2 more to go, and then we're already done with this book. Okay. The great day of Purim. The king's command and decree came into force on the 13th day of the 12th month, Adar, and the day on which the enemies of the Jews had hoped to crush them produced the very opposite effect. The Jews it was who crushed their enemies. In their towns throughout the provinces of King Ahasuerus, the Jews assembled to strike at those who had planned to injure them. No one resisted them, since the various peoples were now all afraid of them. Oh, is that what we want? Okay. Provincial officers of state, satraps, governors, and royal officials all supported the Jews for fear of Mordecai. And indeed, Mordecai was a power in the palace, and his fame was spreading through all the provinces. Mordecai was steadily growing more powerful. Okay. I don't know what to say to that. It's again, okay, well, it's just a trade-off from one to the other. So did did Mordecai, but now it sounds like he's kind of has the power of Haman. So what is he doing? That's what I would like to know. So how did Mordecai unify the people and say, look, we'll just all live here together. Let's do the best that we can. Yes, yeah. And at the same time, of course, does what? Witness about God. In what way? It won't tell us. So. All we know is that now the Jews are, right, where they were, like this before, now they're going, now I'm going to come after you. Is this the right attitude? Just saying. So the Jews struck down all their enemies with the sword, with resulting slaughter and destruction, and worked their will on their opponents. In the citadel of Susa alone, the Jews put to death and slaughtered 500 men. Notably, Andata, Dalphon, Aspata, Porata, Adalia, Aridata, Parmashta, Arisai, Aridai, and Jezata, the 10 sons of Haman, son of Hamedata, the persecutor of the Jews. What? Oh, notably, so that's okay. But they took no plunder. Where does it say anywhere that all of Haman's sons were on the side of their father when it came to trying to annihilate a people just because he wasn't about to? Did anybody find out? Okay, of course these sons was, oh, no, we're not. Okay, and then be a problem later? I don't know. Doesn't one have to take that chance when you restore things among people? The number of those killed in the citadel of Susa was reported to the king that same day. The king said to Queen Esther, in the citadel of Susa the Jews have killed 500 men, and also the 10 sons of Haman. Oh, by the way, let's remember that none of the massacres actually happened. It said that in the beginning, okay? It's just a story. All right. What must they have done in the other provinces of the realm? Tell me your request. I grant it to you. Tell me what else you would like. It is yours for the asking, if such is the king's pleasure. Esther replied, let the Jews of Susa be allowed to enforce today's decree tomorrow as well. And as for the 10 sons of Haman, let their bodies be hanged on the gallows. Now, so Esther, the shy little thing that, I'm so scared of the king, now suddenly is exerting what kind of a power as a woman? And as the queen? Okay. Isn't that going a little too fast here? It's just a story. Whereupon the king, having given the order, the edict was promulgated in Susa, and the 10 sons of Haman were hanged. Thus the Jews of Susa reassembled on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and killed 300 men in the city, but they took no plunder. The other Jews who lived in the king's provinces also assembled to defend their lives, and rid themselves of their enemies. This is all happening under the same king. So here's Haman, wants a decree from the king, which he gets, to slaughter all these people who are not paying homage to the king, according to Haman. King takes his word for it, and okay, let's have a day of slaughter. Now suddenly, everything has turned around, and the king gives another decree to slaughter all the people who wanted to slaughter. Okay, now, I said that in the last part of it, in 8, were people really going home to kill each other? The neighbors, this, that? Haman called to all the people, hey, whoever you know is a Jew, you got to kill. And they were so, oh yeah, let's do that. Now there's another decree out where the king said, no, we're not going to do that. Well, then shouldn't everybody just say, whoof, good. This is good. All right, let's go on living together and let's have a nice feast about that. No, it sounds like, what, just to make a point, because we already know the massacres didn't happen. Just to make a point, oh yeah, now it's our turn. Well, okay. Are you guys getting my drift here? Does that make sense? Seems to be they're all the king's people. Yet the king, either one day he's willing to slaughter all them, due to one guy's whatever. Then the next day, he's willing to kill who now? All? He's already gotten rid of Haman. Okay, things taken care of. Shouldn't Mordecai now step in and be a better leader rather than the same as whom? No, just saying. Okay, all right. Eka. The other Jews who lived in the king's provinces also assembled to defend their lives and rid themselves of their enemies. I said, if the decree is out, no, don't do that now. Then why don't they just go home? What, they're going to not obey the king now? You see, this doesn't make sense to me. They slaughtered 75,000 of their opponents, but they took no plunder. This was on the 13th day of the month of Adar. On the 14th day they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But for the Jews of Susa who had assembled on the 13th and 14th days, the 15th was the day they rested, making that a day of feasting and gladness. Yeah, already, okay, what did I miss here? This is why Jewish country people, those who live in undefended villages, keep the 14th day of the month of Adar as a day of gladness, feasting and holiday making, and the exchanging of presents with one another. Whereas for those who live in cities, the day of rejoicing and exchanging presents with their neighbors is the 15th day of Adar. Okay. So they can't even decide to make it one holiday. On the same day. Whatever. Okay. What a waste. Oh, we're not done. Ugh. We're not done yet. Wow. So I didn't know that. I guess the Jewish people to this day are still celebrating this. I wonder if most of them know what they're actually celebrating. Yes? Okay. 5. The Feast of Purim. The official institution of the Feast of Purim. Mordecai committed these events to writing. Then he sent letters to all the Jews living in the provinces of King Ahasuerus, both near and far, and joining them to celebrate the 14th and 15th days of the month of Adar every year. As the days on which the Jews had rid themselves of their enemies, and the month in which their sorrow had been turned into gladness, and mourning into a holiday. He therefore told them to keep these as days of festivity and gladness, when they were to exchange presents and make gifts to the poor. Once having begun, the Jews continued observing these practices, Mordecai having written them on account of how Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the persecutor of all the Jews, had plotted their destruction and had cast the pure, that is, the lot for their overthrow and ruin. But how, when he went back to the king to ask him to order the hanging of Mordecai, the wicked scheme which he had devised against the Jews recoiled on his own head, and both he and his sons were hanged on the gallows. And that, hence, these days were called Purim, from the word poor. And so, because of what was written in this letter, and because of what they had seen for themselves of what had happened to them, the Jews willingly bound themselves, their descendants, and all who should join them to celebrate these 2 days without fail, in the manner prescribed and at the time appointed, year after year. Do you remember the covenant that God had with the Israelites? What was to be celebrated and when? They just made a man-made one. Was God a part of this? Did God put these feasting, this Purim, into existence as a celebration that the Jews have? No, he didn't. He did not. thus commemorated and celebrated from generation to generation, and in every family, in every province, in every city. These days of Purim will never be abrogated among the Jews, nor will their memory perish from their race. As said, it says in the beginning, the massacres didn't happen either way. None of them did. Right? And a lot of other stuff didn't either. So there was something going on, but it was all taken care of. And then, due to the fact that they survived and didn't become a part of it, big old massacre and slaughter, but sounds like, according to what we read to begin with in the book of Esther, the Jews didn't do that either to anybody else. As I said, how did it actually really go? So everybody just happy, oh, I'm sure glad that dude isn't here anymore. Now we can go back to our lives and be good neighbors to each other, regardless of Jew or something or somebody else. Just saying. Yes? And it sounds to me like, then the book of Esther really is just in here as a fairy tale on why the Jews are celebrating Purim. Yet, it's not even true. Most of it. That's that odd, but okay. Israelites like to feast and party. I'm almost done, my dear. Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail, wrote with full authority to ratify this second letter and sent letters to all the Jews of the 127 provinces of the realm of Ahasuerus in terms of peace and loyalty, and joining them to observe these days of Purim at the appointed time, as Mordecai the Jew had recommended, and in the manner prescribed for themselves and their descendants, with additional ordinances for feasts and lamentations. The ordinance of Esther fixed the law of Purim, which was then recorded in a book. That's the end of 9. Oh, you want to show? I told them about your ring. You want to show your ring? That's the ring he got. Look at this beauty. Yeah.
It's heavy.
It's heavy. It is. I'd be afraid to drop that. Yeah, look at that. It's huge. Yes. That made you happy, didn't it? Huh? How'd you feel?
Good.
Good.
Celebration-y. We gotta go wait for John.
Yeah, we gotta go and wait for John. Okay. That's what I have to share today. Yes. Okay. Well, food for thought.
I've got the power of the ring.
I think we just figured out why the book of Esther is in there. And if teachings and lessons are just in the Bible to make another feasting and partying time more palatable, or I'm not sure what that Purim all entails, but I'm going to go and check it out on what kind of a purpose that has today. At that time, again, it's exclusively for the Jews. And I'm thinking, how wonderful it would have been in a land like Persia, where it sounds like there were many different races there, many different people from different backgrounds, and religions even. It would have been amazing if they would have all united and said, let's celebrate that we made it past this slaughter, that it didn't massacre that could have happened to one of us here. It didn't happen. It was averted. And let's all come together and have what? Oh, like a Thanksgiving Day in the Old Testament with all the people there, not just the Jews. Wow, that would have been something. I think that would have been something that really would have gotten us ahead when it comes to spiritual growth and the closeness to God's heart. Don't you think? Anywho,
Looking at.
It's just there was a hawk and there was a little bird. All right, that's it. That's all I have to share today. I got to get going. May Heavenly Parent bless and protect you, grace you with love, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.